Hello everyone, I'm Travis.
And I'm Nicole.
And let's get wanderlost. We're finally back from our 7-night Mediterranean cruise and our trip to Barcelona, Spain. In this video, we're going to go over our travel to Barcelona, our day in Barcelona, and then embarkation day aboard Symphony of the Seas. If you enjoy the content that we put out and enjoy our videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button and like this video. It definitely helps out the channel. As we described in our planning video for this trip, we flew British Airways for the first time ever, and we flew from DFW to London Heathrow and then to Barcelona, Spain. After our Chase travel points, we spent about $1,300 for the plane tickets, and it was about a 13-hour trip from Dallas-Fort Worth all the way to Barcelona. On this trip, we did not splurge for premium economy or first class. We sat in economy. The only good thing is that we had an Airbus A380 and we sat on the second deck in a two-person section, so we didn't have to sit next to anybody that we didn't know. The only downside is economy is still economy. There was very little legroom between us and the row in front of us. At one point, the guy in front of me did recline his chair, and it felt like my screen for my movies was about this close to my face. But overall, there was a little bit more room side to side since it was just the two of us sitting next to each other. And if you haven't been on an Airbus A380, there is actually a storage section right next to you. So you can put your pillow, blanket, all that sort of stuff into a cabinet and not have it blocking any of the valuable real estate that you have in that aisle. The flight from DFW to London Heathrow is about 9.5 hours, so it's a pretty long time. About 4 movies worth if you're watching movies on your little in-flight entertainment screen. They do serve a few meals. They give you a snack, they give you dinner, and then they give you like a breakfast as you're getting closer to London. For dinner service, it was like a roasted chicken and mashed potatoes, which was actually pretty decent for airline food. A few different snacks mixed in there as well. If you have not flown into London Heathrow Airport on an international flight, as a tip or just as a FYI, you do have to go back through security after you land. So your bags will be checked. You got to make sure that any liquids you have in your carry-on bag or in a Ziploc. They do check everything all over again. It's just like going through security through the airport in the United States.
Leaving London to go to Barcelona, we did have about a 2.5-hour flight. It was on a much smaller plane for British Airways. Luckily it was a quick flight. There was no in-flight entertainment. For the snack, they gave you some pretzels and a bottle of water, so there was that. But overall, luckily it was an uneventful flight, pretty quick, and we had some entertainment stored on our personal devices. When we landed in Barcelona, we did have to go through customs, and then we were able to go to the baggage area. Luckily, we had no issues with our baggage. We were able to collect everything, and then you do head downstairs. You're gonna go down several flights of escalators to get to the exit of the airport. And once we got there, we were planning on maybe taking an Uber or something like that, but they did have lines and lines of taxis ready to go. So we actually just hopped in a taxi, and it was 45 euros to get to the Gothic Quarter, which was probably about a 30-minute drive from the airport.
When we got to the Gothic Quarter, we checked into our hotel, which was Innside Apolo. And it's right there near almost to the port. You could pretty much see the port from the hotel. Inside Apolo is a short walk from La Rambla. It's a short walk from the beginning of the port area. So if you were maybe on a Virgin Voyages ship, you could almost walk there. A lot of stuff within walking distance, from restaurants to shops, all that sort of thing. It was a really nice location for the hotel. The hotel room that we did have was called The Loft. It was, like a mini or a junior suite at this location. It basically had your normal king-size bed and bathroom area like a normal hotel. And then there was a double door that swung open, and it had a couch that converted into another, a twin-size bed, and then a seating area with some chairs, a television, and a coffee table to, let's say, relax or eat some food in. We really enjoyed this hotel. Of the 4 hotels that we've stayed in over in Europe, so the 2 that we had in Rome and the 2 that we had here in Barcelona, this was probably our favorite. The customer service at this hotel was really good. They actually had some snacks and some free drinks and all that sort of stuff in the room waiting for us. And the people at the front desk were really enjoyable to deal with and had a lot of useful information for us while we were in Barcelona. They also even had an outdoor eating area for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So if you wanted to stay at the hotel to eat, it was a really nice environment, a nice vibe to that actual hotel in that space. We would definitely stay at this hotel again, and I kind of wish we would have booked it again when we got off the cruise rather than staying at a different hotel in a little bit more northern end of town. So really good decision to stay at Innside Apolo. We booked it on booking.com, and it was around 200 euros a night.
So once we got settled into our room at the hotel, it was probably about 5 p.m. at that point, so we really only had that evening to kind of explore Barcelona since we were embarking on the ship the next morning. So we did walk down to the port, walked along the water. There was a ton of stuff going on. A lot of booths were set up for the America's Cup. So there was plenty of events happening during that time when we were there. After we walked along the water for a while, we did head towards La Rambla, which is going to be one of the famous streets in Barcelona. Walked along that for a while and then found a small little place called Tapas for dinner, which actually happens to be right across the street from another historical place that you may visit if you're in Barcelona, Güell Palace.
So let's talk about the food that we had at Güell Tapas. When you go to Barcelona, maybe Spain in general, people always say make sure you indulge yourself in tapas, which are like small plates, appetizer-sized meals that you order at the restaurants in the area. We ordered a lot of food when we were at this restaurant. Nicole kept listing things, and eventually the waiter was like, I think that's enough. And then she ordered 2 more dishes after that. So we actually got the chicken and ham croquettes, a potato dish that had a aioli with it, some chicken tenders, which had a special sauce that went with it. It was actually pretty good. We had the broken egg over potatoes with a ham, which was pretty good. It was almost like a breakfast meal. What else did we have?
We also had the tomato bread. I ordered some olives. I think we even ordered a second potato dish. Went a little wild, but we only had one night, so why not?
Yeah, it was a lot of food. It was really good. Obviously, some dishes were better than others. I really liked the croquettes. Nicole, what was your favorite?
I really liked the broken eggs over potatoes.
Yeah,
and the aioli.
Yeah, it was pretty good. We ate way too much. I wanted to have some creme brulee from Barcelona, but by the time we ate all that food, there was no way I was eating any type of dessert. So we decided after that to kind of walk back to the hotel and kind of walk around the hotel and check it out, and then kind of turn in for the night, relax, kind of catch up on some sleep, and hopefully reduce the amount of jet lag we would have the next day getting on the ship.
So the next morning, we had to head to the port to get on Symphony of the Seas. We booked a taxi through Uber, which was about 12 euros to get over there. It is technically walking distance, but we each had 2 suitcases. One of mine is probably oversized and unnecessary, but it was a lot of luggage to be carting around towards the port, so we just paid the 12 euros to take a taxi, make it a little bit easier, especially because Royal Caribbean does dock a little bit further in than some of the other ships. Virgin kind of docks like right at the very beginning, and then Symphony, you have to go over the bridge and kind of go down a ways. Once we got to the actual cruise terminal, it was pretty uneventful. They had plenty of people out there to grab your bags to take to the ship, and you just kind of went through security and checked in. Wasn't too chaotic, wasn't bad, went pretty quickly, maybe took 15 minutes to get on the ship. Overall, pretty good experience.
So, initial thoughts of Symphony of the Seas. Getting on the ship, it's definitely an Oasis class. You're put right on deck 5, you step in and you're right on the promenade. And I will say Embarkation Day is one of the best days of any vacation you could possibly have. Everybody's in a great mood. The ship looks amazing. All you want to do is run up to the Windjammer and have a big lunch. I love Embarkation Day, and this cruise was no different. Symphony of the Seas is definitely a newer ship. It feels new when you get on. It feels more updated than Oasis or Harmony because it's newer than those two ships. Ton of stuff to do. The decorations are kind of a mixture. You can tell it's a little bit like a step back from Wonder, but you can tell they updated some things from Harmony of the Seas. The only downside that I saw was the logo shop, where you buy Royal Caribbean merchandise, is in a very small space. If you've been on Oasis or Harmony or some of the other Oasis class ships, it's usually where the purse store is, right by the English pub. But other than that, like everything on Symphony felt new, felt clean, felt organized, updated decorations, all that sort of stuff. Really impressive ship. Let's talk about our stateroom aboard Symphony of the Seas. We went through cruise.com and booked an ocean view balcony guarantee. If you're new to cruising, or if you've never used the guaranteed service through different websites or either royalcaribbean.com, essentially you're getting a cheaper rate to have Royal Caribbean pick your room for you rather than you picking your room on the deck plans. With Royal Caribbean's website, on an Oasis class ship, when you choose a balcony guarantee, you could be stuck with a Central Park balcony or a boardwalk balcony. There's nothing wrong with those types of balconies, but sometimes when you're on a special cruise like a Mediterranean or an Alaskan cruise, you want to have an ocean view. So we made sure to book on cruise.com because it had that option. We were assigned room 12322, which is near the back of the ship, basically directly across from the boardwalk balconies. This room was your typical Royal Caribbean balcony stateroom on an Oasis class ship. It's a decent size. It's a lot smaller than some of the junior suites aboard, so let's say a Quantum class or even an Oasis class ship, but it has enough space for the two of us and all of our luggage. The balcony had a great view. The cool thing about Symphony is the balcony didn't have that gap at the bottom. So if you were sticking a GoPro to the glass, or you're afraid of dropping something and having it end up in the ocean, you didn't have to worry about that either. It had 2 comfortable chairs on the balcony with a small table. The bed was very comfortable, and because it's a newer ship, there's actually outlets near the bed and a light switch near the bed. Decent amount of outlets over by the desk area, and a lot of storage over by the couch. The bathroom's very basic. It has your stand-up shower and all that good stuff. Overall, happy with the room. Our last cruise was on Odyssey of the Seas, and we had a suite, so it was a little bit of a down step from a suite, but I mean, if you're on a cruise in the Mediterranean, you have an ocean view. It was really good. We enjoyed it. Overall, we would book that cabin again.
When it comes to the packages that we booked on this cruise, we talked about it a little bit in our planning video, but we did book the refreshment package for myself and then the soda package for Travis, kind of as per our usual. It worked out great for us. I'm able to get coffees from the Royal Promenade, the specialty coffees, and we also tried out this time because, in case you didn't know, a lot of us don't go to the gym on these cruises, but in the gym there's a Vitality Cafe, which you can also get specialty coffees from, and fresh squeezed juices and smoothies, and those are included in your refreshment or higher package. So the smoothies and the juices were included, and I was able to try those out. And also sometimes if there's a line on the Royal Promenade Cafe, because most people, that's kind of the most common one that they're aware of, you can kind of pop over there if you're near the gym and get something a little quicker.
We did not get the internet package on this cruise. It was the first time that we've actually not purchased some sort of internet on a cruise that we've taken. And the reason for this, and I did a little bit of research online, Starlink internet is very expensive for Royal Caribbean to use. At least that's what they say. So they need to charge a little bit more than what they were charging for their normal internet service. So they aren't including the internet with a soda package anymore, so you have to buy it on its own. And it's $20 a day per person, and I just wasn't willing to pay that. What we did instead is we had the AT&T International Day Pass. So when we were in port, we used that, which was $10 for the first line, $5 for the second. And we just kind of dealt with it on the ship. It was kind of annoying that when I'd want to look something up on the internet, I didn't have the ability to, or if I wanted to check on our animals or the people that were watching our house back home, you couldn't until we got back to port. But $20 a day is a lot for internet, and at this time, I'm not willing to spend that much. All right, so on Embarkation Day, we actually booked 2 different shows for that evening. We booked these shows about 30 days before the cruise when reservations opened up on Royal Caribbean's website. The first one was Hairspray, which is a Broadway show. It was actually really good. The acting from the Royal Caribbean actors was great. The singing was awesome. Overall, a really good experience watching that show. We stayed about 3/4 of the way through that because we did have some dinner reservations that we had to run to. But overall, it was really good. I liked it way more than Cats on Oasis and some of the shows that we've had on some of the other ships, like the Dream one that was on Ovation. It was up there with one of the better shows that Royal Caribbean produces on any of their ships. The other show that we saw on our first day on this cruise was Hero, which is in the Aqua Theater. This show reminded me a lot of the Intense show that is currently running on Wonder of the Seas, except with more of a different feel to it. It was really good. They did some diving into the pool. They had a high wire act, just like they do on Intense on Wonder. They did the slack line. They had the world's largest mirror ball at sea. So if you're an Arctic Monkeys fan, you should enjoy that one. Overall, a really fun, enjoyable show that I definitely liked. It's up there, probably top 3 of the Aqua Theater shows that we've seen on all the ships that we've been on.
For dinner that night on the first night of the cruise, we did go to the main dining room. We went to the main dining room pretty much almost every night on this cruise, which is the first time in a while that we've really done that. On Odyssey of the Seas, we did eat in Coastal Kitchen most nights. And then on Wonder of the Seas, we had the dining package, so we had to make sure we tried out all of the specialty dining. So we didn't really spend a whole lot of time in the main dining room on those cruises. So this one we did. And that first night was the welcome aboard menu. I had the crab cake and the prime rib, and Travis had the crab cake and the steak. The food overall was pretty good. Kind of, not the best we've ever had, but at the same point, it was good, no complaints, and service in the main dining room was good as well. So the main dining room on Symphony of the Seas is a little different from some of the other Oasis class ships. They don't have the American Icon restaurant, which is usually where My Time dining takes place. And then on the other levels, they have like the Silk, and things like that. They have different themes, and those would usually be for the set dining times. We always do My Time dining, so usually we always end up on deck 3 in American Icon. But on this one, we actually, for My Time dining, we're on deck 4. So we got to, be on a different deck, had a little bit different view because you get to see down onto the dining room in deck 3. So that was nice because we did get to sit next to one of the glass balconies. But overall, I would recommend if you're doing My Time dining, make sure you make reservations early. If you can and you know when you'd like to eat, try to do it on the first day. We kind of did it day by day, or I would make a reservation for the next night, kind of the night before. But luckily we're not too picky, so usually if you do that, just be aware that the times that'll be left are probably going to be the later time slots, like your 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:30. For us, that usually works out okay, so that's fine. But if you do have specific plans or you want to eat at a specific time, like 8 o'clock every night, make those reservations as soon as you get on the ship because they will go quickly. And if you don't make a reservation, you will have to wait in line to get seated. So just something to keep in mind.
So to kind of wrap up Embarkation Day on Symphony of the Seas, at midnight they were doing a balloon drop for my birthday. It was so surprising that the entire ship knew it was my birthday and set up a balloon drop before we got on board. I was very surprised and overcome with emotions about it. It was the first time in a while that a large group of people recognized my birthday and wanted to celebrate it with me. Not really. They do a balloon drop on Embarkation Day. It wasn't, I just said it was for my birthday. Maybe one day it will be. But they did a balloon drop at midnight. They counted down, dropped the balloons, and then people popped them like they normally do. The really funny thing about this was on the cruise compass, it said the balloon drop at midnight, and then at 12:15 was the recycled balloon cleanup party. So it's sort of like when your mom tries to make cleaning up your room sound like a game or more fun. It was pretty funny. I'm still going to say the balloon drop was for my birthday. So that kind of wraps up the travel to Barcelona, the time that we had in Barcelona before our cruise, and then Embarkation Day for Symphony of the Seas. On our next video, we're going to go through the ports that we went to, which were Palma de Mallorca, Marseille, France, La Spezia, Italy, Rome, and Naples, Italy. We may break it up into 2 different videos. This was a very port-intensive cruise. 5 port days in a row, which was a first for us. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about with those ports, and that'll be in our next couple videos. So if you enjoyed the content that we put out, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button on this video. And make sure you tell your friends about us. We're always trying to grow and reach new audiences. If you have any questions about what we went over, or this cruise, or some of the other cruises that we've been on, please leave them in the comment section below. And I know I already said this, but as always, make sure you like and subscribe.